All right, welcome back to Time to Write. We're so happy that you're here to hang out with us. I am Amy Kelly.
I'm Emily Roberson.
And we are so excited because we are going to talk about fun stuff today. But before we get started, we are going to talk about our highs and our lows. And so I would say my high this week has been that I've really been able to keep to a better schedule and just kind of do all the things. So it's just, you know what? I have come to really enjoy just kind of the quote unquote normal days. So that's been
Yep.
super fun. So that's been fun. And then again, going to the new library in my town that just opened last month or in March, I guess, has just been delightful. Delightful. So
Yay.
totally great. And then I would say my low has been, yeah, I don't know that I've really had that. Like it's just been kind of even keel, right? Like I love even
Yay.
keel. Like I love like steady, even keel
Slow and steady.
things, slow and steady. So yeah, how about you, Em?
Okay, so my high, anyone who, if you are following me on Instagram, which you can at Roberson Emily M, you would know that I got the cello out of its case. I played the cello from the time I was 11 until I was 22. I probably played it every day. I took it to college with me. I played it in college.
Okay, I'm gonna
If
stop you
if
there
yeah,
and brag on you.
yeah,
Em played in the orchestra at Brown.
I did. I did. It's true. But I played it a lot. In fact, like, and I said this in the video, but it's totally true. If you had known me from 12 to 22, if you knew me, probably one of the things you knew about me was that I played the cello. Like it was not just a thing I did, it was like a major part of my personality. Like
Your
it was
identity.
like my identity, like all those things. And then I stopped and I have moved it with me. I still have the same cello. I have moved it with me all over the country. And before the pandemic. So at some point, if you don't play instruments over time, they do start like they get problems. And so I took it to the luthier, which is what you call the violin maker
Oh,
person. I took it to the
ooh,
music shop and got
learn
it
something new.
spruced up. Yes, got it spruced up a few years ago, got the bow rehaired and all that stuff, and proceeded to not play it. And then I was thinking about it, and my youngest son plays the violin and my middle son plays the piano, and I was hearing them practice and play, and I thought I could get this out of the case. So I did. And I have been playing it, and it is surprisingly fun. But
Joyful.
I'm having to be super careful, and this is something we have talked about a lot on the podcast, to just enjoy it and not get stuck on classical music, especially because there's a repertoire and because you try out and because it's a hierarchy. It's really easy to get wrapped in what you can't do. And there's a
Mm.
lot of stuff I used to be able to do that I can't do, and I was never virtuosic but from the beginning. So just being like, if I can make it make cool sounds, I will be happy about that. So that is where I am right now.
I
So
love
that is really
it.
fun. And like, I'm not planning to be a professional musician. It's just a fun thing to have.
Hmm.
And then my low, it's only that it has just been raining a lot here. So, which is just way, I don't mind a little bit of rain, but it just over time it wears on me. So if you listen to our last episode that talked about what is a hook, we're going to follow that up with what is a call to action. But Amy has her own special way of talking about this, which I love, and it's totally reframed it for me. So knock it out, Amy. Let's talk
Okay.
about it.
Yeah, no, I was really excited about this because I work with authors, and I think sometimes this piece of when you put social media out can be a little frustrating and confusing, because what we're talking about today is um, what most marketers call a call to action, which is basically just like a question or a directive at the end of your video or at the end of your caption, that asks or directs them to interact with you or engage with you in a certain way. And I think the issue is with authors, it's easy to get stuck in the weeds of, well, the only call to action that I have for people is buy my book. And you don't want to end everything with buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. So, and again, I have to give credit to one of my beta people who I'm working with. Her name is Sarah. And so we were talking about this and kind of trying to figure out where she was stuck on it. And I realized, okay, no, this isn't a call to action for our people. This is a call to, wait for it, connection, which is one of my favorite words ever. And I've used it in every business that I've ever, the first podcast that I did,
Yeah.
yeah. So I love the word connection, because I think it makes something, it clicks at something, or kind of grabs at something in our author brains that's a little bit easier to wrap ourselves around than a call to action. A call to connection is, hey, here's how, we can get to know each other better. Here's how you can tell me about you. And so it's a lot easier. Now, the interesting thing is, I don't know that the actual words that you use are going to be all that different from a quote unquote call to action, because you're just asking people to do something. But I think adding that word connection it's just more comfortable. It resonates. I don't know about you. Like, it's that tuning fork. Like, for me,
Right.
it's like, boom, like, yes,
Yep.
I
Well,
want
and
that.
so here's a great example. Amy pointed this out, and I was like, oh yeah, I forever didn't have any call to action or call to anything. I would just do something and then put it out there and be like, ah, it's like I'm like posting and then being like, and
Right.
so
Marching.
I
Yeah.
didn't have anything. And what I realized is, and I realized this doing YouTube yoga and Pilates. This isn't even from Amy, but I was like, oh, wait. Like, so there's a couple channels I love that are on, for anybody who wants to know, Lottie Murphy for Pilates. She's British. And then Adrian, Yoga with Adrian,
I
are
love
the two that I
Adrian.
do.
Ah,
And so I thought, why do I keep going back to these same people? Because I tried a bunch of different ones. There's also a great Pilates lady named Issa Welly, who I also really like. Why do I keep going back to the same ones? Because I tried a bunch of different ones. And here, because basically you would say Pilates is Pilates is Pilates. Yoga is yoga is yoga. Why Adrian? Why Lottie Murray? Why Murphy? Why Issa Welly? And I realized, oh, it's because of the call to connection. It's because they're saying, welcome back. And it's all the stuff we joke about. My kids joke about it. Subscribe to my channel, blah, blah, blah. But truly, let me know in the comments below what you'd like to hear from me. Let me know in the comments below. When when Adrian's like, you're not alone during the pandemic, Adrian telling me that I was not alone. I'm thank you, Adrian. And so in my case, like, I really don't very often I comment some on Instagram, but I don't very often comment on YouTube. But here's a great example. What am I doing right now? I'm proselytizing about these 3 channels that I love. So the call to connection totally worked, right? Like, this
right.
is what, so even though I didn't comment, they might say like, oh, their call to connection didn't work. It did, because I'm coming back. I'm rewatching. I'm like trying out different things. I have favorite videos now that I, that I go back to. And so that is, so for me thinking like, oh, wait, what I'm hoping to build with readers is that, like, it's that I'm both getting something from my relationships with these fitness instructors
Influencers.
or influencers or authors or pick a
Mm-hmm.
thing. But also I mean, that's one of the weirdest things to me about social media in general is that I do feel connected to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so trying to build that for my readers feels like a powerful thing that I should be using in my toolbox, even though it
Absolutely.
is like, so what are some of the calls to connection that you feel like your authors or for you, for your social media, that they really are leading to real conversation connection?
Well, I would say, well, before we get to that, I just kind of want to back up a little bit and just say part of this too is getting comfortable with asking for what you need. Like,
Right.
because unless you tell people how you want them to interact with you, like you're teaching them how to do that. And so
Right.
that's the biggest piece of this, I think, is really figuring out like, how do I want them to respond to this and giving really specific things. And so I think one that I've been trying a lot recently has been like leave an emoji and give them example, like say, if you agree, like give me a high five or, give me a thumbs up, or, you know, you might give them a choice between two things and offer a different emoji for each one, if that makes sense. A couple that I've seen from authors that I really love are there's one lady who has been she writes romance books, and so she'll be like, choose the best book boyfriend, and she'll pit like two of her characters against one another, which
Yeah.
I totally love. Like, who do you, and more often than not, obviously they tie or whatever. So it's just really kind of cute stuff to engage with what she's writing and what she's doing. One that I'm about to roll out is my more author Instagram account, which is at Amy Kelly, the Ish Girl. What I normally do on those is series of quotes from young adult books that are based on different topics. And so I think I'm going to put a poll out, like, here are the next, which one of these 3 topics would you want me to, you know, you do quotes on next, that kind of thing. So really, I would say things like it really depends on what you want them to do. And like in previous episodes, we've talked about like the customer journey. And so if your customer is at the awareness stage, you're going to ask them to do something different than if they're someone who is already your follower, has read all your stuff. So you're really trying to hit all of those different spots in your reader journey by different calls to action.
Right.
Does that answer?
Yeah. And I think this hits on something that's really important for us as authors. So I was reading a blog. I can't remember. It was either a blog or a magazine or something. And someone was saying, like, how do I tell my author friend that she's talking about her book way too much on social media? And the person's answer to that was, it was like somebody, I think it was in the Writer's Digest. Their answer to that was,
You
no, no, no,
don't?
no, no. You're misunderstanding. Like the thing about this to really put into all of our brains is that the way the algorithms work, almost no one is seeing everything you post, even if they follow you.
Right.
Almost no. The only way for them to see everything you post is to go to your
Profile.
profile.
And if they're going to your profile, then they want to see it all.
They want to see it. And so if some other, in this case, in my opinion, super jealous author, who is also an author, wants to go to someone's profile and be like, look, they posted all this. Like, I'm sorry.
They're
No,
just not
thank
your
you.
person. And
They're just
this
not your person.
this goes
And
back to
so
you're not for everyone.
you're not for everyone. So getting back to what Amy's saying, you're not doing the call to action for all those different things in the same post.
No.
So it's like you're a post that is a post where you're introducing yourself to new readers. Like for me, maybe I'll say, Lifestyles of Gods and Monsters, my YA novel is a retelling of a Greek myth. One of the fun things that I engage with readers about is like, do you have a favorite Greek myth? Like mine is the Minotaur, but there are other ones I love, so you could talk to people about that. How do you feel about retellings? Do you have retellings you love? You can talk about YA books, but then also you can connect over the other stuff that you post about. That if you go back a couple episodes where we talked about like really identifying your themes, that's another place where you can talk to people about your themes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure. And the other thing is, we are selling books. Like that's part of this. Like it's not all of it, but it's
Right.
part of it. And I'll just throw this out. I've seen several authors, particularly over the past week or so. I guess Barnes and Noble runs a pre-order sale sometimes. And
Yes.
so you'll see
Yes.
authors saying, oh my gosh, go to Barnes and Noble. You can get 25% off, pre-order my book, like that kind of thing. So
Right.
so sometimes you're asking for a sale. That is
Right.
your call to connection. Connect with me by buying my book.
Right.
But sometimes it's just tell me more about you, or tell me what your opinion is on this, or tell me how how have you handled this issue in the past, or how do you
Right.
feel about this, or, all of those kinds of things. And
Right.
again, you can Google this and find a bunch of, you would want to look for calls to action, not calls to connection. Obviously, and there are all kinds of lists out there that you can do. I'm looking at a couple right now. It might be something as simple as watch my story about how I XYZ, or like for me, part of my branding is the Ish Girl, which what that is. An Ish Girl to me is one who has humorous grace with herself when discovering she's messed up or flaked out again. So often I will share Ish moments, like places where I've just done like silly, dumb stuff. Or sometimes it's stuff like that's super embarrassing and maybe affects other people, that it's just kind of cringeworthy, or whatever it is. So I might say, if you want to know my latest Ish moment, like check out my stories. Right. So yeah, or it might be like, go to the link in my bio to sign up for my to get this lead magnet that I have, or go to the link in my bio to check out my website, or
Sign
it's
up for my
just,
email list, authors. We will do an episode about an email list, but
yes, like
sign up for my email list.
right, like vote for your favorite blah 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 that I talked about here.
So let's get into what's the mindset that people need to have? And I feel like this is right in the title. It's the mindset is understanding that the action is connecting. Like that's
Yes.
the whole ballgame.
Well, and I think too, as authors, as business people, we want our readers to feel confident in us. And that means we have to be leaders, right? And so if you can think about your call to connection as you're leading your people on what the next step is.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I feel like this comes a little bit intuitively because I was a teacher. And so I have that teacher hat on as I'm doing this. But I think if you don't have that teacher background or whatever, it's just, you need to tell people what to do next. Like, what is the next step in order for them to get to know you better, in order for them to get closer to buying your book, in order for them to,
find your book where it is on sale.
Find your book where it's on sale. Yeah. Right. Like all the things. So this is, I just think the call to action is super, super important, because how many times, like, really pay attention. And I guess this would be the practical part, the next part that we talk about, which would be, as you're going through and scrolling and looking at people's stuff, how many times do you just see like, oh, it's just a statement like, oh, I love that video, or, whatever. But that's the only interaction. You like, what are you going to do now? You could hit like, which, and that's enough. Oh, I'm glad I thought of that. Something that if you don't know what to put, then something you can always, 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 always put is like and save. Like and save, like and save, like and save. So you're, and that's going to help drive your social media metrics and help the algorithm and all that kind of good stuff. So if nothing else, just say like and save. Like
and save.
if you enjoyed this, if you learned something, if you agree, like and save. Like that's all you have to do. Yeah, or subscribe. Yeah, like, save, follow. Yeah.
What's next? Okay. The next thing is just what we said with the hooks. Just try it out. Just try it out. Just try it out. It's not, and really, I know I keep hammering on this, but like, it is really just so important. Sometimes something that's great doesn't go. And if like, what was the one, Amy and I both watched this guy that had a video it was a song that went super viral. And he was like, I knew the song was really good and it didn't go well. So I reposted it. So if you have a video where you feel like this one should really connect with my people, you can try to repost it. Just because the biggest thing to understand, like over everything else that we talk about on here, most important thing is that the mean person voice in your head is not your audience. You don't have to listen to it.
Right. And often it's your worst enemy.
Yes, it's your worst enemy. So anything, and even if it is embodied by your, mom's best friend who calls to tell and say you're posting way too much about whatever, you can say, she can mute me.
Right.
Please mute me. Like you're that. Just think for a second about the people that you love the most on actors, writers on the internet. Pick a place that you love. You will watch them, right? You will watch them. You will watch them like, well, and also day in the life.
And I'm going to flip the script here because I think I have come to really love the unfollows, because the more people who aren't my people, who are off my list, who are off of my, who don't get my stuff in their feed anymore, the more concentrated and responsive my people are. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, right. Like, so I want my follower list to be people. I would rather have 100 people who are engaging with everything that I'm putting out there than 10,000 people who don't respond at all. Right. It's not about, it's quality, not quantity.
Yeah. And I think that the biggest thing is like, and I know we are just, Amy and I believe this both so much, and we just really hope that you believe it too. Like, your story matters.
Yes.
And there is someone who it's for. And that is the key thing. That's the key thing. And all we're doing here is connecting with that person or people. That's it. That's the whole thing.
Drop the mic.
So that's it.
So make a commitment. Everything you post this week, put a call to connection on it. All right. Okay, Em, really quick, what are you reading?
What am I reading?
Read in the past.
Have read in the past. You guys, Langston Hughes's memoir, The Big C. It came out at SEA. It came out in 1940. I'm reading it I read it as research for the book I'm working on. Oh my goodness. It's amazing. And it's a view of that, because he went to Paris in the 20s. It's a view. First of all, his writing is gorgeous, but also it's a view of the early 20th century. I had read a lot of different stuff, and I have read, lots of different things, but it's really great. I highly recommend. I don't know why it's not more read. Well, actually, I do know why it's not more read, but it's really good. You should read it.
I have been reading a book, one of my beta clients' books, and let me look it up so that I can say the name of it. But the author is J.D. Rogers, and it's super interesting because it's called Midnight on the Tigris. And Her genre is clean mystery romance, which is a very, very specific genre, and I'm super enjoying it. So
Yay!
yeah, she's a really interesting lady. She before she had kids, she did a lot of work around the world, but particularly in the Middle East and Baghdad. So super smart, interesting lady. So I'm excited to, I'm just within like on my Kindle reader, it's like the first 2%. So I've just started it, but I'm super excited about it.
Yay!
So yeah,
Okay, everybody.
All right.
Go to our Patreon and get some writing done, people. Right,
Yep.
right.
Time to write. All right. See you next time. Thanks for hanging out. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for being with us today.
We love our people and we want to get to know you better.
So email us at questions@timetowritepodcast.com to have your questions considered for the show.
You can also suggest topics by emailing us there.
Also, drop us a review on Apple Podcasts. Not only will it thrill us,
seriously, we read everyone.
It also helps others find the show.
We're driven by sharing stories, and your review helps us do that.
Just remember, your stories matter, and we're rooting for you to find time to write.
Even if it's only 5 minutes. 5 minutes, you can do it.
You can do it.